attention as you're watching the car for the movement, the motion, the scenery, the background, the detail here, the reflections off the car, the sky, the horizon. Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Innocn 27-inch gaming monitor. I did receive this product to try out, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this monitor or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. The first link for anybody in the US will take you to a live stream featuring us unboxing this monitor, and you can shop the carousel down below to browse a variety of items. While you're there, be sure to give us a follow on Amazon Live. That would be greatly appreciated. Looking back at the box, on the other side, we have our model number right here. It's the 27G1G. This is a 1920 by 1080p full HD monitor up to 165 Hertz for the refresh rate. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and look at the contents. Here are all the contents. First up, we have our product literature featuring a customer service and contact card, as well as a quick install guide, walking you through everything you need to know in multiple languages with charts and diagrams. Next, we have one DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable included. We have our power supply and adapter, one Phillips head screwdriver, 3 hardware kits, and our stand that's in 2 metal pieces. Lastly, we have the monitor itself. Let's go ahead, let's look at that in more detail. Looking at the back side of the monitor, you'll notice we have 2 lights right here, a release button for the stand, and we can do a VESA mount option if you'd rather have your own stand. This just gently snaps right back in place. Power button, menu control option, all-in-one button right there. Kensington security lock. Let's tip it up to look at our ports and I/O. So we got our power port, 2 HDMI ports, DisplayPort, and our audio port right there. Flipping up to the very bottom reveals some additional product information right here. Tip it over to the side so you get a feel for how thick this monitor is. We'll look at it top down as well with that point in the back. Some slots up at the top you may notice in the design. And now we'll look at it from the front. So again, we got Innocn's logo and branding, power indicator right there. Possibly 2 more lights on the side. That'll be really cool. We'll see what it's like when it's powered on. Now let's go ahead, let's get this monitor stand installed. So you will have to attach a couple pieces together to assemble the stand before we can install it on the monitor. The first piece you're gonna attach and assemble is right here. So this comes off the back of the monitor. This piece is in the box. Line it up, it's only gonna fit one way. And then take 2 of the silver screws, fasten them in place right here. Our kit came with 3 screws, so we have an extra screw, which is always nice. I'd rather have too many than not enough, but fasten them in place right there. Then the next step is you're gonna attach these 2 pieces together now. They're also only gonna fit one way. And we have these 2 holes to line up right here with those 2 teeth to get everything lined up properly. And now we're gonna take 2 of the black screws and we're gonna fasten them in place right here. So there we go, both screws are fastened in place. Same thing, we got 3 black screws, we're only gonna be using 2. Now that we have the stand itself assembled, let's go ahead, let's line it up on the back of the monitor. And then it'll snap right in place like that. And now we're ready to stand the monitor upright on its own. There we go, check it out. We have the monitor stand successfully installed. Let's walk through some of the features of the stand. So there's no rotation to the left or to the right. You will just have to manually move it yourself. We do have our tilt, so we can tilt it back or tilt it forward. And let me show you that from the side right here. So that's our max tilt down. Here's our max tilt back. And now watch what happens as we try to adjust the height up or down. It is fixed in place, so if you wanted to adjust the height with the stand, you're gonna have to add some books or something underneath or get your own stand. Now let's go ahead, let's power it on and try it out. Now we have our Innocn monitor plugged in and powered on. You may notice our red lights illuminating on both corners. They're also lit up in the back. Let's go ahead, now that we have it connected to our computer and our screen is displaying, let's look at the menu. Now there's one control button for everything, and it's really confusing because if you press it in, that's the power button and you keep turning it on or off. So it takes me a couple minutes to get used to it, but let's bring up the menu. We're gonna press to the side right here, and we have multiple options to go over, and you just press up and down, or to the right basically to enter. If you go to the left, it's gonna exit out everything for you. So let's start over here. We have our view mode. So let's go into that. We have our standard, our game, movie, web, text. So you get the idea there. We'll come back to that and look at that and see how they change the image quality. So let's back that up and we should be able to go over to the next one, our manual image adjustment. So we have multiple options here: sharpness, aspect ratio. If you want to turn adaptive sync on or off, MPRT on or off, depending on the performance that you're trying to achieve. We have those options. Then we have our color adjustment settings: contrast and brightness, color temp, color range. Then moving right along, we have next up our audio. So we can adjust the volume or mute. And then lastly, we have our input select, so our two HDMI's, DisplayPort. And actually there's one more, whoops. So we got our setup menu that we haven't looked at yet either. So this is gonna have a lot of settings for us: our language, resolution, information, OSD timeout, OSD background, if you want the LED effect on, normal or flicker. So let's go ahead, let's try that right now. So now they're gonna flicker, or you can turn it off. So we'll just go back to normal. I like normal best. And then we have auto power off, sleep settings if you want to set that, memory recall, and we're back to the beginning right there. Let's go to OSD. I was going to try to show you. What's interesting is I don't see the option on the menu here, but if I go back and I press down, we have our crosshairs if that's what you guys want, and we can change the color of that right on the screen. So if you want to select that, that's how you're going to be able to do it. And you can just turn it right off by pressing the left arrow on the back. So that's a quick look at the menu. Now we're looking at the advanced display settings right here within Windows. So we are getting 1920 by 1080 and 164.9999 hertz for our refresh rate. So it is true as advertised, 165 hertz at a full 1920 by 1080p HD. Now we're going to take a look at the different image options we have. So first up we have standard, followed by our game settings. So let's go ahead, let's select the game options here. Gamer 1, we have Gamer 2, Gamer 3, FPS 1, FPS 2, RTS, night vision, and then back to our Gamer 1 settings. Gamer 2, we'll cycle through those again. Gamer 3, and then FPS 1, FPS 2, RTS, and night vision. So you can see each one's going to change the image, so choose the one that works best for you and maybe the game you're playing. Next, we got our movie setting, web setting, and text. So again, they all change it. Standard, movie, web, and text. So you get the idea there. Depending on the content that you're consuming, just set the image and viewing mode to the one that your eyes prefer. Now we're looking at the UFO test right here, where we have different FPS values doubling up every line. And you'll notice up at the top 165 FPS at our 165 hertz refresh rate makes that alien look really smooth compared to even 83 FPS, which doesn't look bad in my opinion, and 41 FPS where it's really sputtery and staggering. So this test is great just to visually see why it matters to have that higher refresh rate. So it's great that we can get 165 hertz, and if we have a system that supports it, to be able to push that higher FPS value, you'll see better results while you're gaming, and it makes it a much more fluid and enjoyable experience. Now let's talk about backlight bleed and IPS glow. This is an IPS display. I didn't notice any IPS glow. I did notice some backlight bleed right here around both of the bottom corners. That's super common on monitors. And again, that's only when we're looking at it in a black screen in a pitch black room. So at that point, I feel like if you're trying to look hard enough, you'll always find a flaw, defect, whatever you want to call it, in your monitor. Now, is it anything to get upset about or to consider not buying it? In my opinion, no, not at all. Super common regardless of monitor type and brand. But that being said, keep in mind your experience could be completely different from mine because it can vary panel to panel. So take that with a grain of salt. But for me, no glaring issues, anything along those lines with this monitor. Now let's talk about color accuracy. So we conducted our test using DisplayCal, and here are the results that we get. First thing I want to point out is they advertise 99% sRGB. So as we look at our coverage for sRGB, we're showing we got a result of 99.8%, so spot on with what they advertise. And our volume is 143.9% sRGB. In regards to Adobe RGB, our coverage is 82.7%, and our volume is 99.2%. And lastly, our DCI-P3 coverage is 97.4%, and our volume is 101.9%. So not bad if you do want to do some color sensitive tasks. Of course, there's better monitors out there, but there's definitely a lot worse. So well within range, at least in my opinion. Nothing to worry about there. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is an IPS panel, and typically compared to VA or TN panels, you're seeing better viewing angles and color accuracy and representation. Now we're looking at our measurement report results right here for our Innocn monitor with different metrics for our delta E values. So we have our delta E 2000 summary statistics right here. Our maximum delta E 2000, we're showing 1.16, well within the nominal and recommended ranges. And our average delta E 2000 value was 0.26. Let's check out some other metrics. We have delta E 94. So max is going to be 0.95, well within range, and average 0.23. Let's go ahead, let's bring up our delta E 76 for you snobs out there. We got 0.97, well within range, and our average of 0.29. Typically, delta E, it varies obviously depending on which metric you're going by, but usually I believe the average person cannot see any sort of variation or change under 2 or 3 for your delta E value. Anything less, you have to be a trained professional, or it might not even be noticeable to the human eye. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at delta E values and what that means to you. Now we're doing our simple test of just browsing the web again, so you can get a feel for how everything looks in real life with what you're actually going to be doing with this monitor. So we have YouTube pulled up right here. Here's the trending section. Very fluid, responsive. Everything looks great, right? Very clear. Look at how fast we're scrolling, right? Refresh rate kicking in, that's nice. So very fluid. Everything looks great. Next, we got The Verge, a popular tech blog, so if you want to use this to consume news, things like that. Again, all the different images, graphics, ads, videos, everything that's here looks super nice. Let's go, let's just click on this first article. So again, look at the clarity, very, very crisp. Hopefully the camera is showcasing that for you guys, but usually there's just not much we can do to make it look any better. It looks really good in person. It's hard when you have a camera pointed at a screen, but embedded tweets, mobile ads, look at all the different, fonts, text, headers, paragraphs. So far, so good. And then lastly, if you want to use this monitor, do some online shopping. We have one of the largest, if not the largest, e-commerce platform here. Everything looks nice. Images look great. So really enjoyable experience browsing the web. Now it's time to test out the input lag on this monitor. Now keep in mind, input lag is different from response time. This has an advertised 1 millisecond response time. Input lag is basically the delay between when a command's issued and when it's displayed on the screen. So that's what we're testing with this box here. It's important to gamers, right? You want to have the lowest amount of lag possible. So your keyboard, mouse, controller, all that good stuff, right, is communicating as fast as possible. So let's see our result right here. The lower, the better. All right, not bad. We're showing 1.2 milliseconds for our input lag, down to 1.1. All right, we'll take it. Now, this value should be around 8 or so. We'll see what we're rocking with here. Okay, so we're showing around 8.6. And then let's see what the bottom is. My hand's going to be in the way. Right at around, let me make sure I got it in a good spot. Whoops. All right, we're showing right around 16 even, but that's great. 1.2 milliseconds for our input lag. Very happy and pleased with that. That's well within the pack and usually what you can expect in a monitor. I think some of the lowest I've ever seen, usually around 0.8 or so, give or take. I'm not sure we've gotten any lower, maybe 0.6. That seems too low, but anyways, well within range, what you would want to see in a monitor like this. Now let's talk about gaming. We got Forza 5 pulled up right here. We're rocking 1080p at 165 hertz and we're getting around 100 to 120 FPS. Just pay attention as you're watching the car for the movement, the motion, the scenery, the background, the detail here, the reflections off the car, the sky, the horizon, the different lighting scenarios you'll encounter. Right now, it's just in the standard image quality. You can really hone that in if you want, but I think this looks great. I'm looking at it off to the side with our IPS panels. It's really nice because your viewing angles drastically improve from a VA or a TN. But look at that. The detail, the water splashing up. Beautiful footage on here. Now we're looking at some Assassin's Creed Valhalla footage right here. So we're rocking around 120 or so FPS. Not bad. Look at the smoke, the fire, the attention to detail here. All the colors, how clear and crisp it is. The attention, the amount of detail. The water, the reflection, the guy fishing there in the boat. The clouds in the sky. The movement and motion. Again, hovering 100 to 120 or so FPS. And then that nice look back over the town with the ruins there. Smoke billowing up. Ooh, looks good. I like it. Now we're looking at Borderlands 3 right here. Getting about 130 FPS right now at 1080p. Look at the detail. Pay attention to the water. All the creatures moving. The whole environment here as you immerse yourself in. We got explosions. A windmill moving in the back. Little sparks and embers there. Some electricity it looks like. The different lighting environments. Characters in a firefight. Or just dancing, I should say. Firefight comes later. Sparks. Now it's dark. Got that pump. Characters running there. The movement, the motion. Now we're at about 150 FPS. Here's the firefight. Sneaking up. Got a shootout here. Look at the detail with the explosions. Pretty cool. Now about 100 FPS. So whatever type of game you're playing, you'll enjoy gaming on a monitor like this. Now let's talk about next-gen consoles. First up, we have our PlayStation 5 plugged in and connected to our Innocn monitor. Here's our video output information. Currently, we're getting 1920 1080p at 60 Hz. Now, you remember, this can go up to 165 Hz. So for the PlayStation 5, you'll be capped at 120 Hz. Make sure you go down to the settings right here and turn this to automatic. So if you do have a game that supports 120 at least, you'll be able to get that at 1080p with your PlayStation 5 and this monitor. So 1080p 60 or 1080p 120 depending on the game that you're playing and what's supported. We can't leave Xbox out, so we got the Xbox Series X connected right here, and under our general TV and display options we have our resolution 1080p and two choices for the refresh rate, either 60 Hz or 120. Not going to take full advantage of the 165 Hz, but you do have the ability to use 120 Hz at 1080p with this monitor on the Xbox Series X. Now let me share with you my final thoughts in regards to the Samsung Odyssey G3. This is a really nice monitor. I'm happy with it overall for a couple of reasons. The first one is for the price that you pay. It's nice that they didn't skimp on the stand. That really makes this monitor super practical, really useful, and just that much more enjoyable because we can even do what you're seeing right here. Put your spreadsheet, put your stream chat, anything you want. We have the nice vertical and portrait viewing experience. Height adjustment, slight swivel. We got that nice movement for our rotation there as well. So a great stand. I'm glad they didn't compromise on that. In regards to the picture quality, I'm happy with it overall. VA is smack dab in the middle between IPS and TN, usually in regards to price and performance. We pull some of that TN gaming performance with that 1 millisecond response time, but we don't have as good of viewing angles or color accuracy as we would with an IPS panel. But I think for most people looking at this, you would rather have 1080p 144 hertz due to the system that you probably have. You're not capable or you're not passionate about 1440p or 4K gaming. You'd rather have the lower resolution and the higher FPS values. This fits right into that market and demographic, with the compromise being some of the color accuracy and representation. But again, if you're not using this for color correcting, I think most of you out there will not care. And if you do care, one, you're not either buying this monitor, or two, you can still customize the color if you want within the menu settings. So there's always that option for you. But overall, really, really nice. I think besides the color accuracy, the only other thing I'd want to see change with this monitor is having some built-in speakers. I know, most people that are buying this have your own gaming headset and headphones. I totally understand that's probably why they didn't include them, but I'm always in the camp that I'd rather have them and not need them than need them and not have them.